All right, we're looking good.
Yo, I just get
Looking
stressed out
good.
sometimes with the counting.
Love you.
Yeah.
All
Okay,
right,
1, 2,
gentlemen, you
3,
guys are
hit.
looking good. Everyone ready?
I love
Yes,
you.
sir.
Love you so
All right, I'll
much.
count us in. 3, 2, 1. All right, everybody, welcome to the No Roof Podcast. I am your main host. I am Abel. I am the Happy Warrior, and I am Choo Choo.
And
And I
George
have
Washington.
my co-host over here. I have Rafa, the Warrior Chief.
Let's
We call
go.
him Chaba.
Come on.
And
So I'm Chaba.
No, you're
Choo
Choo Choo.
No, you're Chaba. I'm Choo Choo.
And together we're
Chaba
Choo Choo.
Hey.
We have a very special guest. Before we introduce him, I just want to show some of his product. So he has his own coffee company, and it's called Nema Cafe. And look at this beautiful thing.
Come on, man. Well, we got to hold all our cups. We got to hold all our cups.
So,
Look at
so
that.
today we're going to talk about dreams and business and really, if we're made in the image of God, each one of us is creative, yes?
Come on.
Each one of us is supposed to live out a dream. And I'll say this, we're supposed to do something not easy.
Come on.
Like he wants us to rely on him. So before we go into our main event here, let's go with that intro. There we go. All right, welcome back. So
Yeah.
our guest today, our special guest, I'm just gonna say his name. Let's welcome Papa K, everybody.
Papa
Come
K.
on, Papa
And
K.
yo,
Thank
that
you
is
guys
his
for having
real
me.
name.
That is his real
Yes,
name.
yes,
That is
yes.
his real name.
When I first met you, I was like, wow, stage name from birth. Like,
Yeah.
this guy's got dreams already. So,
When I first met you, I was like, why is everybody just messing with me? Is
Right.
it because I'm new here? Like, because I just met Jesus?
I remember this one pastor thought it was my rapper name, actually. Yeah.
how many times when you meet people do people go, is that your real name?
Pretty much every time.
Is it like
Yeah.
a guarantee 100%?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I've learned to actually like really, really love it. Actually, let me tell you a story. So
Yeah, go for it.
when I was a freshman in high school, on the first day of school, I almost got a referral because of my name.
Why?
Yeah, so my science teacher, right?
Yeah.
You know how when they do attendance, they usually start from the top down, right?
Oh, yeah.
Right.
So they started from the bottom up. And
Why he gotta be
I just had some clowns in my class, and so they were saying like, oh, like white lightning, black thunder and whatnot. And so like it got to me, and I'm like Papa K, and so she's just like, tell me your real name, or like you're gonna go to the office or write you up, and I'm just like,
My
you
name
can-
is Papa
this
K.
is Papa K, like- And so I tell you, I passed that class with an A, and I like barely did nothing in it. But
Yo,
you
let's
know.
go. That's because you're a genius, man. I love that.
Come on, let's go.
And just real quick, just what are some things that you love to do? We all know that you can play the big drums and little miniature drums. Somebody gave you a gift during Christmas. There were,
Yeah,
like, these
you
baby
play
drums, and
bass,
you were
right?
hitting them.
Guitar.
Bass,
A
guitar.
little bit of bass. My main instrument is the piano.
Yes.
I learned the drums first, and then I went to the piano. I learned the guitar, and I can play the bass. I wouldn't say I'm a bass player, but like I just like dibble dabble.
You can hang.
Dibble
I can hang, and then I guess now I just been singing a lot more. And
Yeah, I was gonna say, and you sing. You sing as well.
yep, I also audio engineer and produce.
Yes, and you're audio engineer, produce.
I actually love audio engineering more than I love producing, which is kind of
That's
What's
awesome.
what's the difference?
producing is kind of like
Is that making the beats?
Yeah, like making the beats or making the tracks or whatnot. The audio engineering is the one that's pressing like the record, mixing, mastering, that kind of like
so
technical.
they're the one that make it sound really good.
Exactly. They make it.
They
sound
make
really
the finished
good.
product.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that makes total
Wow, that's
sense.
amazing. And you started your own business, right?
Yes,
So,
yes.
Nema, right? Like, that's amazing. We love our mugs, by the way.
Thank
I
you.
can't wait to take my wife's mug, even though it looks exactly
What
the
it,
same.
mine's I got midnight. What did you get, Rafa?
White Lightning?
White
No,
lightning.
Oak. Is it oak? What is
It's
it?
the oak
It's
one.
oak. All right. Close. I was so close. I like it. I like them a lot. I feel so fancy. I was going to tell you something, Papa. I forgot what it was. I had a question for you. But go ahead. Oh, what are we taking the roof off today?
Oh,
Chaba
okay.
Chichi?
All right. So we called this.
The No Roof
Rafa and I
Podcast.
decided to call it the No Roof Podcast, and roof meaning religion.
Okay.
And like to us, religion is anything that sucks the life and joy out of the room.
That's right.
Yeah.
You know, Psalm 16:11 is one of my favorite verses where it says, "In His presence is fullness of joy and pleasures forevermore." And so, in our last episode, we kind of broke down religious words that we've made unfun. Words like holy, righteousness. You know, if His presence is fullness of joy, you know, I believe He's in a good mood.
Yeah.
That's what I believe. That's what I believe. So what we want to do is kind of take things that the world has made unfun, or even I'll say the church has made unfun,
That's right.
and make it real. Our
Right.
job is to make God tangible and real,
Right.
because He's supposed to be real instead of just an imaginary friend. So You're someone who's a dreamer. You're an entrepreneur, and you started this business called Nema Cafe.
Yes.
Now, I believe there's more people in this world that have dreams, but are not walking them out.
Mm-hmm.
So, how did it start for you? Like, what was it about coffee? How did you? Why coffee? So, I remember you had PK's Kitchen. Is that still a thing?
It is still a thing. So PK's Kitchen is the LLC, and so Nema is actually a branch of PK's Kitchen.
That's
Okay.
awesome.
Yeah.
So, what was it about coffee? I mean, because dude, you got mugs. You got what's going on? Something's been released. I think this Friday.
Yeah, this Friday actually, I'm releasing my bean collection.
Is this your beans right here?
It is, yes sir.
Oh my gosh, yo, Colombia beans.
Yep,
You work
so-
with Pablo?
I have
Gosh.
I have Colombian beans. I have Nicaraguan beans. I have Guatemalan beans. and then
Guatemala.
I have an espresso roast.
Wow, that is
Yep.
awesome.
Yep.
Can I keep this bag or is this
You can.
No way.
Yeah, that's why I
Oh
brought
man.
it.
Somebody call my wife.
All right. So,
sorry.
so we gotta. I gotta know. Like, we all have dreams.
Mm-hmm.
What caused you to first step out and actually invest? And like, what were the steps?
I guess I can start from the beginning. In around 2017, I was doing a lot of driving. I was driving from Richmond, Virginia to Maryland, Virginia, pretty much every weekend.
Wow.
And that's like a 2.5, 3 hour drive.
A lot of
Monday mornings, I would wake up around 3:30 to get to Richmond by 6, so that I can get to work by 7.
You were commuting to Richmond.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Well, I was in Richmond, and I would come back to Maryland and Virginia to help my dad with his church.
Right.
Wow.
And then Monday mornings, I'll drive back to Richmond for work. So, therefore, I needed coffee or something to keep me awake, and I've never been a huge fan of energy drinks, and so
Yeah.
I would get different kinds of coffee. Then I started to realize, I was like, it might not be the healthiest thing, but I just need something that's stronger, because just the regular gas station coffees wasn't really doing it for me.
Right.
From that place, I kind of learned to really love just great quality coffee, just not just a average Joe, just
Right.
Come
So
on.
you were having it enough to where you can tell a difference.
Right.
Like, I don't think I drink it enough where I can like tell. But that's why I have Rafa. So he's training me now. And now because of Rafa, he loves coffee too. For the first time in my life, I'm drinking black coffee.
Come on.
Which I've never done.
So
Yeah.
proud of you.
I drench it
Yeah.
with cream and sugar,
Mhm.
and I need 2 hands to stir because how much sugar I
So
put in.
the crazy thing about coffee is if it's a really great quality bean and quality roast, the actual black coffee tastes really, really good
It's
on its
true.
own,
It's
and
true.
you can actually start to taste the natural flavors.
Right.
And so actually in those different kinds of beans and whatnot, you can actually lose some of the actual great flavor by putting more creamer and putting more like sugar and stuff in
Wow.
it.
So how did you
You know.
learn this? So you're driving, you're having coffee every day. So you've tried the 7-Eleven, you've tried the Starbucks.
You try Wawa's?
Tried the Wawas, tried the sheets.
Okay, I got to ask you then. Out of all the coffee places that people quickly get, how would you rank them?
Okay,
The popular ones.
the popular
the
ones.
7-Eleven, the Starbucks, the Wawas. The...
I might get a lot of flack for this, but
That's okay, no
Starbucks in my book is actually like maybe like a 4 or 5.
Come on.
Amen.
You
I
know what I
agree.
mean? It's not.
It's
Okay,
bitter,
I-
right?
okay.
Is it bitter?
Let me tell you
I'm
why.
not a fan of it.
Let me tell you why. So Starbucks, right? Because they're such a huge brand, in order for them to reach consistency around the world, they actually have to burn their beans.
Whoa.
You see what I mean?
That makes sense why
That
it
makes
tastes so
sense
burnt.
why.
Yeah.
I feel like with their coffee, I'm like, I'll pour the creamer and look away.
Right.
Like I'm
Yo.
still.
It's
Right.
true. I'm really sad when I go to Starbucks. My wife is like, I'm getting a matcha grite latte whip, not stirred, with a cherry on top, upside down. And I'm like, all right, I gotta pass this test.
That's a
you
whole
know what
nother
I mean?
language.
And I'm
All
like,
right.
give me a black Americano that tastes burnt,
Mhm.
And then next thing you know, $30 later, I'm sad.
Yeah.
So
that's
there are
Starbucks
4
for
and a
you.
5. Who's your top then?
My top is actually, there is a place in Bristol, Virginia called Cuppy Coffee.
Cubby.
And they are amazing. You know what I
Okay.
mean? And I think it's a lot of the regular. I wouldn't even say regular. Just a lot of the mom or what's it called? Mom and
Like
pop
mom
shops.
pop
Yeah,
shops?
like mom and pop shops. That their beans are just way more quality because they're freshly roast. Some of them roast them
Right,
daily,
right.
weekly. You know what I mean? Versus the big brands where their beans could be sitting on a shelf for like 4 or 5 months before it gets to you.
Wow.
You know?
All right. So you have all these coffee places. So there's obviously like a lot of competition. So you're driving back and forth,
Mm-hmm.
trying this coffee. What was the next step? What was it like? Okay, maybe I should throw my hat in the ring because that's a big ring.
Yeah.
Like, there's tons of coffee places.
Right.
So what
So
was it?
for me, I just figured if well, I'll say this, like I just developed a love for coffee.
Okay.
And so anytime I would travel out of town, I would always go to the best coffee shops in that town
Okay.
and try their coffee. And so what I'm really big on is pursuing your passions and pursuing what you love,
Come on.
right? And so I'm just like, okay, well, if you love coffee, then you love mugs. So I actually started with the mugs because I was
right.
like, if you need to drink coffee, you need to have something to drink the coffee in.
That's right.
You know what I mean? So I started with the mugs. What really got me into the whole beans and wanted to sell the beans was just the fact that I love it. You know what I mean?
That's
And I just
awesome.
figured why not make a business and turn my passion or hobby into a business that other people can enjoy.
That's amazing.
And then when I think about it, it's the market is, I guess, huge. But when you think about coffee drinkers, once they love a brand,
Yeah,
they
I'm never
stick
leaving.
with the brand.
It's true.
That's true.
You know what I mean? And so that's why I was just like, I'm comfortable. I see the big picture, I see the vision, and so I'm just like, I'm just gonna pursue it. And I would say like I feel so much peace about it. You know what I mean? I don't feel like I have to like strive. I don't feel like I have to
on.
like stress. You know what I mean? I
Come
just
on.
feel like I just have to be and just do.
That is really
know?
good. That's really good. Well, I think too the topic for tonight was we're trying to take the roof off expansion, right? Like I think something big that Pastor Abel has been teaching me is just if you in a standstill or comfortable, you actually start to slide back.
Right.
But the minute you start expanding, you start finding these promises and upgrades that God has for you. But I think one of the hardest parts for me is like how can you expand? And you said the word strive, right? So like how do you expand and not strive? Like what does strive even mean?
To me, striving is trying to force something to work.
Gotcha.
Right?
Wow.
Trying
That's
to
good.
trying to make it happen, right? Versus just like taking it day by day, seeing. So I actually learned this from an entrepreneur called Gary Vee. So a lot of people they see life in a situational lens
Come on.
versus like the lens of like vision,
Come on.
right?
Yeah.
And there's this thing called there's a macro perspective and there's a micro perspective,
right, yeah.
So the macro is the big picture, the micro is the small picture. If I can see the macro, which is the vision, which is the big picture, then I can take the micro, which is the day-to-day steps, right? And if one day is a bad day, it's not really a loss because I'm still like conquering those days, and all of those days adding up is actually a win because like I didn't give up.
Pablo, that's
good.
so beautiful, man.
And so I think that's really how to kind of expand is to see the vision, write out your steps to reach the vision, and just day by day, and if one day if you take a hit one day, and it might not be the best day,
Right.
it's fine because you learn from it, right?
So
And
good.
so it's just the accumulation of all of that stuff, which is where you get knowledge, wisdom, experience, and so now the next time you try to do that same thing, you're not going to fail because you learn from it.
So good.
Okay, I got a question
That's
for
beautiful,
you.
Papa.
So for your vision, what like 10 years from now or 20, 30, what is the big macro for the Nema Cafe? What do you see? Are we allowed to know?
Yeah, 100%. Like I'm very big on transparency. So my
Beautiful.
vision for Nema is one is I want to build the brand.
Okay.
And so I want the brand to be more like lifestyle, motivational, really helping people to achieve their dreams and their visions.
So this is
but-
outside coffee, it sounds
Right.
like. It's not just coffee now.
Right, exactly. So just the brand itself, but I do see myself owning different like brick and mortar buildings and having
Come
like an
on.
actual coffee shop.
There you go.
Whether it's a mobile coffee cart or like an actual like brick and mortar. And actually, I wouldn't say I'm in the works, but like I'm trying to put the vision together for it so I
So
can start
good.
taking the steps to get there.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
And I think even that, I think sometimes we forget, like, faith without works is dead.
Come on.
Right.
I think so many of us, we have the dream and then we're waiting for God to do all the work.
That's right.
Right.
That's
And
right.
we miss it. Where like faith without works, like you said, is that you got the macro and you got the micro, you got the day-to-day process that it sounds like God is doing with you.
Yeah.
So I printed out this thing, and Rafa and I have been kind of going over this thing. It's called From Occupation to Expansion by Bill Johnson. And I just want to read this to you. Because when we first read this, we're like, dude, Rafa said, like, we need to get a guest on this.
Yeah.
And, like, we both were kind of like, well, Papa K's, like, kind of doing this.
Yeah, you're killing it.
Like,
Thanks.
you're in it. Like I said, I know more people that have
right.
dreams that are actually taking the day-to-day steps and doing them.
Yeah, like
So-
we're literally drinking out of.
We're
your drink.
literally, yeah.
Like,
Nema
that's
Cafe has
crazy.
arrived.
And
You
then
know
I
what
got a
mean?
free bag of coffee. Like I'm just so happy. Thank you.
Score. We got to have more guests with, like, that are
Yeah,
doing well.
Yeah.
So get a bunch of
Talk
free
about no
stuff. You know what I
striving
mean?
though.
Like,
No
yeah.
striving. I ain't forced nothing.
Exactly, man.
But he says this. So I love this aspect. He says, the purpose of war, because he talks about the kingdom, is victory. And the victory is occupation. But in the kingdom, we add one more step to the process. And the purpose of occupation is expansion.
Come on.
The fact that if you think the parable of the talents, the person that just kept their one more and didn't grow was taken away and gave it to someone that was growing and growing and growing and growing. And I think sometimes we forget that aspect of God, that if we look like him, we should constantly be growing and looking like
Right.
him.
That's right.
And he's
Come on.
endless. And like we throw this word, we've heard it here, creative.
Mhm.
And so many of us right away go, I'm not one of those.
Come
Right.
on.
Which
Right.
I think is like, in a way, what you're saying is our Father's not creative.
Right.
Right.
And because of that, it's like we almost like cut one of our legs off and don't even attempt certain dreams. So he goes on to say this, because I have a question with this. He says, it's important that we view life with the perspective of expansion and forward motion. When we think this way, we are positioning ourselves for increase and promotion. It's not healthy to simply find a place you want to stay in and occupy. The moment you have found a leveling off place is the moment you begin backsliding.
So good.
When your passion begins to decline, you already start to die. So I have a question for you.
Yeah.
So it says, when your passion begins to decline, you already start to die. So you're here, but God sees you here. How do you keep the passion burning
Come on, that's
throughout
good.
that? I think so many of us have dreams, start dreams, get hit again, and then that's it.
That's
Yeah.
And then it fades away. How do you stay disciplined? How do you keep focused? Especially, so one of your nicknames you told me is Joseph,
Come on.
which makes perfect sense because you have a man that had a dream, who's thrown in prison, right? Who was first a slave. I mean, first he tried to get murdered by his brothers.
brothers.
But what I love about his story is he didn't complain.
Right.
It says he had favor in every season. Whether he was a slave, he had favor. When he was in prison, he had favor. And never once do I hear this, I'm out.
Come on.
So it sounds like you have the same spirit. So how do you keep like the passion burning?
It's a couple things. I remember this one time the Holy Spirit was speaking to me, and it might sound harsh and abrasive, but it was what I needed. I was at a place where I wanted to give up. And he told me, he literally told me, he said, it's not about you, it's about generations.
Ooh.
And so when you look at it from a perspective that's bigger than yourself and you realize, yo, man, there's generations that are coming after us that need what God has put inside of us and what God wants us to birth on this
Come on.
earth. And so right now, like none of us in this room, we're not building for ourselves. You know what I mean? We're
Yeah.
building for generations. From that place, you can be motivated, but it's a huge difference between discipline and motivation. And I
good.
think that's where a lot of people start to fall off is because they get passionate and they get motivated. But motivation and passion is rooted really in your emotions.
Right.
Because one day you could be
That's right.
you could be happy, and so your
Right.
motivation is on 100.
Right.
Then the next day you can be sad, and your motivation is on 0.
Right.
So good.
Right? So it's like what separates, the people who actually succeed is discipline.
There it is.
So discipline, it's like, now I gave you my word, so regardless of how I'm feeling,
That's right.
I'm gonna show up.
That's right. That's
You
so
know what I
good.
mean?
Yeah.
And
Because he
so-
promised this bigger vision.
Right.
That's beautiful.
Right. And then you have to really understand, God stands outside of time.
Yeah.
Right. And now
I don't know if I like that.
I
part.
don't- yeah, me
yeah,
neither.
yeah. Cool. Don't say that again. All right. No, I think you need to say it again. Say that like one more time. Because I
You know?
think we forget that.
Yeah, like God stands outside of time. It says God, He's the Alpha and Omega. He's the beginning and the end, right?
That's right.
So time,
Crazy.
it's there's an end to time, but God stands outside of time. So if God gave you a word and God gave you something that He wants to birth out on this earth, right? He's seen it from a perspective of eternity, right?
Right.
And so when the Bible says that Jesus is the author and finisher of our faith, you know what I'm saying? That means that when he gave me that vision, when he gave me that dreams, he's not seeing it as incomplete. He's seeing it as complete, right?
That's
And
Yeah.
so
Crazy. Come on.
if on the day to day continue to have faith, but put works to my faith, put action to my faith,
That's right.
put feet to my faith, you know what I mean? Then that gives me it gives me the willingness to like push forward and to keep
That's
on going
beautiful,
and to not give up. And so with faith comes discipline,
That's right.
you
Come on.
know?
So let's get a little deeper then. What's a discipline that you've had to learn from God? Just one.
I would say the biggest discipline is in this last season is
Come on.
stewardship, is stewarding,
Okay.
learning how to steward. There's really discipline and stewardship go hand in hand.
Mm.
It's like they're like peanut butter and jelly.
Right.
Come
You know
on,
what I'm
I love
saying?
peanut butter jelly.
Because in order to really learn how to steward stuff, I'll bring it into like my actual life right now. There's so many things that like I have my hands on, right?
Right.
And I can get to
Yeah.
a
Oh
place.
yeah. Hold on, real quick, just in case people don't know. So you're
was gonna
also
say.
like the head of. You're an elder at a church that you guys started,
Yeah.
Yep.
and you're also like you're the head worship leader,
Right.
right?
And you're buying a house.
and you buying a house.
Yeah.
You're creating this company, so it's not like you're just this one person guy.
Yeah.
Just playing your piano.
So okay, going from there. I just wanted people to know that about you.
Yeah. And
So the
and
discipline, the stewardship.
yeah, stewardship, discipline. So with all of that stuff and my 9 to 5 job, because I still work
And
a
you
9
still
to
got
5.
your 9 to 5. Oh my
Um,
God.
you know,
IT, right?
IT, yeah.
Come on.
IT.
Man.
So with all of that stuff, it can get super overwhelming. But what I'm realizing is that if I am able to, what you sow in one area of your life has an effect on every other area of your life. And so if I'm able to steward one area of my life, then I'm able to steward other areas of my life. You know what I mean? And so then I'm able to be disciplined in those other areas. You know what I mean?
good.
Good, Papa. Real quick, what does sow and steward mean? Like, if there's somebody listening that doesn't understand that Christianese, like, what is sow
Yeah,
and
it's
steward?
good.
mean?
So
Very simple.
I think it's just learning how to honor what the Lord has given you, you know, and to do it with excellence and a spirit of excellence.
It's good,
You know?
yeah.
If I have my 9 to 5, right, but at the same time, I know God is calling me to build a business.
Right.
I can't slack in my 9 to 5 because
That's
it's
good.
not honoring what God
That's
has
good.
given me.
That
You
is
know what I
so
mean?
good. That
And
is
so
so
if
good.
I'm able to actually submit at my 9 to 5, give my all, you know what I mean? Then that means that when my vision that the Lord has given me flourishes, there's going to be other people that are going to submit to what I'm building.
It's good, Papa.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I love
and
that.
So
Cool.
That's good. I have Ralph. I want you to answer this one too,
Yes,
because
sir.
I'm curious about your story too. Because I think so. I'm a children's director,
yeah,
and one of my favorite things I teach the kids is the Ephesians 2:10. We are God's masterpiece.
That's right.
And within each masterpiece is a dream, and so each one of us has something I like to call the dream that you're supposed to walk out. That if you're breathing, there's something for you to produce. There's
Right.
something
Good.
for you to
Right.
expand on. So I want to all three of us kind of go around and be like, when it comes to the dream or something you wanted to do, what was the fear? What was really the attack of kind of procrastinating, hesitating, if there was one, But because I know for me, so I'll tell you mine.
Yes, please.
I would say people call it their Goliath or whatever was college, getting my degree.
Come on.
So in my family, I was the black sheep. Like my brother and sister were a lot older. My brother went to Notre Dame, got his master's at George Mason. My sister went to University of California, Irvine, got her
So
master's
smart.
at Indiana. And then there's me who spent, I think, 8 years at Nova.
Yeah, go Hogs.
So I always had a dream of going to a 4-year,
right.
but I always saw it. For me, the thing was like I will never be good enough. Like it just felt overwhelming. I had so many lies. I wasn't smart enough. I wasn't this, and there was a lie that I believed because I won't mention the guy's name, but this is a great, amazing evangelist who I love, and he said this. He said, God has blessed me with a big brain and a little heart. And I was like, yeah, me too.
No,
Like,
other way.
what
A
is
big
it?
heart,
A
little
big,
brain.
sorry, God
Yeah.
blessed me with a big heart and a little
And a
brain.
little brain.
And I'm like, yeah, me too, man, me too. See, I don't need to go to college. And I remember like he was like, Abel, that's your dream.
God
That's-
said that.
Yeah. Because I was like, it is my dream. I always had this dream of
Mm.
walking up on that stage and getting that diploma.
Mm.
But ever since I was little, it seemed so big, like it was unattainable.
Mhm.
And as I got older and older, and the world teaches you, you graduate at what was it 21? At 18, you after high school you get going, and like I know for me it just felt so far away, and so I procrastinated. So before I finish my story, I kind of want to ask for you guys, like, what was it? What was the dream, and like what was the fear,
It's good. It's really good.
or was there fear?
But real quick, just back to your procrastination. Like you were procrastinating because you were afraid.
I was afraid,
Wow.
100%
That's
afraid.
really good. Because I feel like there's a lot of people who procrastinate, but they don't understand it's rooted in fear.
Yeah.
But go ahead, Papa. You go first.
Yeah, I would say mine. Growing up, I wanted to be a music producer.
That's
I
awesome.
wanted to go to just a production school. I had a dream to be an entrepreneur. And I remember I used to say, by the time I'm 22, like that's my year. 22 is my year. 22 is my year. Which is actually funny because I believe the Lord was actually telling me the year 2022.
Oh, come
You know what
on.
I mean? And not like, but like
He's outside of time.
exactly. You know what I mean?
He's outside of time.
And so growing up, my voice was very muzzled because of my upbringing. You know what I mean? And just the fear of disappointing my dad, my family.
Come
you know what I
on,
mean?
that's real.
And so I was just like, what I need to do to make them happy and to appease them and please them is to go to college and go down that route, but to not really step out on what I knew the Lord was actually calling me to do.
Wow.
You know what I mean? In pursuit of like just being an entrepreneur, pursuit of just like different things in ministry, you know what I mean? And so I would say that would be the biggest one. My biggest fear was the disappointment of my family.
Wow. Yeah, I get that. I get that for sure. But I think it's really cool because, like, I think in the Bible it actually says honor your mother and your father, right? And it's the only one with an actual promise afterwards. And I think you're reaping it now,
Yeah.
right? Honoring your mother and your father. But I just think you would have been able to do it and have fun with it rather than doing it and being afraid.
Right.
Yeah. But I just love how, like, God doesn't exist in time. So you haven't missed out. That's beautiful to me.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm trying to pinpoint a fear. I just think this morning I went on a run and it was before the sun came up. Talk about discipline. I just been trying to work on discipline and character. And you hit both of those because like something that God's working with me on this season is how to stay free even though I feel oppressed or I feel stuck. And it's funny because like I was with my wife the other day and I thought I was gonna have an anxiety attack, right? Which I feel like even saying anxiety, I'm gonna have an anxiety attack and I have Jesus and Holy Spirit living inside of me is like blasphemy, right? But I'm taking the roof over that because I was like, man, anxiety was a cop out for me to actually say how I actually felt. So like I'm like I had anxiety. I was putting water and I'm like, no. I feel trapped is how I felt. For no other reason other than like I know there's more than just what I'm doing Monday through Thursday or Monday through Sunday. And God, I was like, God, what do you want to teach me? I realized I had no vision, just how you said. Like, there's a big vision, but there's also a vision for your season. And it was just funny how God puts people in your life. And I found this YouTuber. I deleted my Instagram, my TikTok. I'm not saying you have to do that. But now when I'm using the bathroom on the Kingdom, I'm using the bathroom, I can't be on Instagram and TikTok. So I have to pull up YouTube, or a book. And I put up YouTube, and it was this guy talking about you need to work on your character and you need to work on discipline. And he was like, and this is a easy morning routine for you to do. And it's funny because I didn't want to share this with people, but I feel God saying it. And he was like, wake up in the morning and put your body through pain, like controlled pain, right? Like you're going on a run or you're going to work out because it strengthens your mind and it disciplines you. And I told my wife, I was like, hey, I need to be realistic, right? Like, can I actually do this? And she was like, you can if you wake up at this time, if you actually go outside and do this. So this morning I ran my 2 miles and I'm out there running and it's dark. I don't know if you guys have ever run in the dark before, right?
I don't run, so.
I love you. So I'm running out there and it's dark, like there's not a car out there. There's not really much of a moon. It's cloudy and it gets even darker. I ran through the forest and it's like super dark, right? Luckily, I'm in Manassas, and I grew up in the ghetto, so I wasn't afraid. I'm like, we're
Fearless
good to
over
go.
here. Fearless warrior.
But yet, you know, I'm in the army, I'm good, you know, and it triggered Psalms 23. Even though I walk through the shadow of the valley of death, I shall fear no evil.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm walking through this darkness, and you can't see anything. Like this old dude was like literally like where you were, and I finally saw him. That's how close I had to be to see this dude. And I was like, God, I don't want to be in this fear. Rescue me. And it was something you've been preaching about, Pastor Abel, about we keep asking God to rescue us when there's actually a promise and an upgrade he wants to learn in the conquering. And so I'm like, God, get me out of here. Like, turn the lights on. And God is like, why? This is the fastest you've ever ran, as you ran through this darkness, as you ran through the shadow of the valley of death. And I'm like, you're right. Like, I am here to kick the darkness butt. Like, why would I leave if I'm having the best time ever, if I'm having fun here, if I know you are with me, if I know you're never leaving me or forsaking me? And in that moment, I realized I had liberation.
Right.
Because I wasn't allowing fear. I wasn't allowing the darkness to take over my character and my mind. And that's when I was like, this is freedom. And I ran through. So I don't know. I think I'm learning to not let God rescue me even when it feels dark. But I think my biggest fear was because I'm in the darkness, I didn't hear the voice of God.
Right.
Right? Because there's times when I'm like, if I had heard the voice of God, then it should be peaceful and sunshine and
that's
rainbows
good.
all the time.
Have you ever had that? Even what Robert said, those moments where you're like, wait, is this like even starting like getting the cups, getting this? Were you ever sitting at home with all these cups? Like, why did I do this?
Yeah.
Like, God, was this you? Did you ever have those moments?
Yeah, 100%, man. One thing that I learned, and one thing that like it's really, God has really been pressing on me is understanding that darkness is actually not a bad thing.
Ooh, come on now.
You know,
come on.
a lot-
Oh, you're making religious people mad right now. What do you mean?
Darkness is not a bad thing.
Come on.
You know, when you look at a seed, and the seed goes in the ground, and it sounds cliche, but the seed is in darkness, and it almost seems like the seed is dying. You know what I mean? Because of the germination process, where it literally has to break down in order to sprout.
Right.
You know what I mean? But in that season, that seed is getting watered, it's getting nurtured, it's
on.
getting nutrients,
Woo.
and it's actually growing. And a lot of times when it's actually kind of funny. A lot of times
on.
when God gives you a vision, when he gives you a dream and he wants you to birth it out, you could even look at a pregnancy.
Come on.
You know what I'm saying? Like a baby has to grow in a woman's womb for 9 months
It's
before
dark in
it's
there.
birthed. And it's dark. You know what I'm saying? It's dark,
man.
you know? And so when a seed is in the ground, when it's being just cultivated, you know what I mean? It seems like it's darkness all around.
Right,
You know what I
right.
mean? But in those seasons, it's the seasons where like you can really hear the voice of God
come on.
clear. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And from that place, you really start to sprout. You really start to grow. And so there were times where I'm just like, Lord, what did I get myself into?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I got all these cups.
Yeah, it's like I got all these cups. I bought a coffee roaster. You know what I mean? I'm just like roasting. I'm just sitting. It's like 12 a.m. and I'm just like roasting beans, trying to get like different flavor profiles. And I'm just like, yo, what am I doing? Like, I just want to go to sleep, you know. But you know, then I just started to dwell just on continuing to trust the voice of the Lord.
That's right.
You know what I mean? Continuing to trust like what he told me, trust what he's given me, and trust where he wants to take me. You know what I mean? And then you start to realize that like, hey man, like darkness is actually not a bad thing. You know what I mean?
That's right. It's good, Papa.
Talk to me about even like your dark days, and like even Ralph, you want to chime in about like how do you handle failure? What we would call failure, like those days, those moments where it's like, dude, am I ever gonna sprout? Like, what do you do when those days come? You call them like those dark days or the failure days where you take a hit.
Yeah,
because I think so many of us we take a hit and
Yeah.
we stay down.
right.
So I want to know like what was it that pushed through? How do you change your perspective about that? Because like you said, we're all going to go through that.
Right.
Right.
I think so many of
Everybody.
us think like, I got a dream, nothing but sunshine now, and God's like, oh, and you just prove like, oh no, it isn't.
Right. I'll say this, man. The creator of Starbucks, that's so funny, it's coffee. But the creator of Starbucks got denied a loan to actually start his business 222 times.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
I didn't know.
It's either 221 or 222. Now, the next time that he tried for a loan was successful, and therefore we have Starbucks, right?
Gosh.
And so I think like one is just being consistent, you
Come on.
know, and just having consistency. I think the other thing is just being honest with yourself, being
Okay.
honest with the Lord. You know, it's like we we can be so honest with God and he's not ashamed of any of
Ooh,
it.
come on,
Right.
You know what I
Papa.
mean? Like I can tell God, Lord, I am mad right now.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well, tell me about one of those moments then with Nema Cafe. What were those moments you were like, God, why do I have beans and cups in my garage? Tell me about one of those
actually,
moments.
there was a moment recently. So
Recently.
yeah, recently actually. So maybe a couple of weeks ago, I brought on a company that does a lot of my social media and
Nice,
branding and
nice.
whatnot.
It looks really good, by the way.
Yeah.
Thanks,
My wife
thanks.
and I were looking at it. You look hot.
Thanks.
Yeah, it
Thanks,
looks
thanks.
good.
Shout out Dream Pray Do. You know what I'm saying? They do all my social
Hey.
media. But you know, so it got to a place where I couldn't afford them. You know,
Wow.
like you said, I got all these mugs, you know, all these beans I'm roasting, and I'm just like, well, like, you know, in order to pay them, like I gotta make money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like, so I had to have a real conversation with the Lord, and I'm just like, Lord, like, I don't know what to do. I feel like I can't go any further. You know, I feel stuck. You know, I need to actually learn social media marketing, which I didn't want to do because I just don't have the time for it, you know?
Come on.
And so the Lord was telling me, talk to them. You know, and I'm in my mind, I'm just thinking, man, like they're gonna think I'm this horrible person, and like I've
Wow.
just been using them, and
Rejection.
you know what I mean? And so I'm just like, you know what, I'm gonna talk to them. So I FaceTime them. It's a couple, it's a husband and wife. I FaceTime them, and I just told them straight up. I just say, listen, man, this is where I'm at, and this is what's happening, and like completely crazy different response that I was not expecting whatsoever. Literally, they were like, hey, listen. When God gave them their business, they told the Lord that their business, they want to use it to bless people. You know what I
No
mean?
way. Like that was the foundation, was to
Yeah.
bless people.
The foundation was to bless people. So they were like, hey, listen, look, as long as you're okay with it, like we'll still like keep on pushing with the social media
Wow.
and like you do not have to pay.
Whoa.
You know what I mean?
Wow, Papa.
And they're like, when you get back to the place where you can start. And so I'm just like, what in the world? You know, so a couple things. One, being honest with the Lord,
Come on.
trusting his voice. And if God gives you something, right? If God gives you a vision, he will literally provide the provision for the vision. You know
Come
what I
on,
mean?
Joseph.
So I need to backtrack because I think every single one of us hit those moments where we have that real moment, and you said the first thing you thought was a negative. You said, I can't talk to them. They need money. I don't got the money.
Yeah.
I think so many of us are so quick to go to the negative that we don't even give God a shot to do something.
Come on.
Right.
And we shut down. We I call it we bully ourselves out of it.
Right.
Really good.
We believe the lie. Well, like, why do you think that was the first thought? Because I think so many of us, they had a dream, got going, but then something like you said, you have those dark days,
Yeah.
and bully themselves out of the next step.
I think that it's
Like you said, you were honest with God, but you went for it. You went to them and said, "Hey, like that had to have been hard, right?"
yeah, it was like in the moment, like when I was talking to them, like in that moment, I was just like, "Oh God,
you
like
crying?
I don't
Were
know
you
what to."
crying?
I wasn't. Thank God, I wasn't crying. You know what I mean? I was just like, I didn't know what to expect. You know what I mean? I really did not know what to expect in that moment. But I think the reason why people bully themselves into not like pursuing is really one. It's human nature. You know what I mean? Because I think that we have to. Okay, so the Bible says that your flesh wars against the Holy Spirit.
Right.
You know, the flesh wars against the spirit. So any decision that might seem uncomfortable and out of my like current like nature and my character,
Your comfort zone.
you know,
yeah.
my comfort zone, my flesh is gonna fight that, and it's gonna retreat into what seems the easiest.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Wow.
Is to fall back on fear, rejection. You know
That's
what I
right,
mean?
that's
Like
right.
fail, like all that stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I think like as kingdom people, we know that we're gonna go through hard times, and like one,
I think we forget that though.
yeah,
I think we think
Yeah.
no, it's gonna
Yeah.
be easy.
Right. Oh,
It's-
real quick. I just need to take the roof off Flash. You know, because like since I've been born again,
Tell
I
us
just keep
about it,
hearing
Rafa.
flesh,
That's a
flesh,
good
flesh.
question. That's a
And
good question.
like I keep always say, I'm done pretending I know words because we say it so much. You know, because we can say it so much. We're like, yeah, I know what flesh means.
That's good,
And I
Rafa.
finally found out literally this morning. And fleshes mean senses. That's what it is. So when it says that your flesh, it's not your this beautiful bicep
Right.
or these beautiful legs, like, or my beautiful face. That's not that flesh. It's my senses.
Right.
My senses. My survival skills.
Exactly. Your mind, your will, your emotions.
Yes,
You know
yes,
what I mean?
yes. Which isn't a bad thing. It's just bad when it's not under the authority of the kingdom, when it's
Right.
not under Holy Spirit giving you the outside perspective, the guy that's outside of time.
It's good.
I can't remember. I believe it was either Paul who said about bringing like your flesh
Yes,
like under
under submission.
subjection.
Your senses.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying, to the Holy Spirit. You know what I mean?
right.
So your senses bringing it in that moment. It's like what's comfortable usually is like your flesh, your senses. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You don't
in that
grow in
moment,
the comfort. You don't grow in the comfort.
Exactly. You don't grow in the comfort. You know what I mean? And so sometimes, like, the indicator of growth is actually uncomfortability and pain.
Write that down,
You know what I
people.
mean?
Come on.
That's
good,
good.
Papa.
Hold on, I got to go to Rafa real quick.
Yes, my
so I'm gonna talk about you.
Yeah, always.
I don't know if you know this. So before COVID, it was fun watching this guy. So COVID, we all shut down and we had time to do a lot of things. And this guy believed for the longest time. And I remember that you weren't creative.
Yeah, it's true.
And so
I remember that actually.
now it's been a year later. I don't know if you know this. Like now, he's built in like a desk, a wall. He plays piano. He has now the piano in his house. So I need to know
It's true, yeah.
because I think so many of us can learn from that. I think so many of us have dreams, but we're not stepping in them because I'm not a creative like Will Smith. I'm
Right,
not
right,
talented.
right.
So what was the lie you were believing?
Honestly, it was comparison. You know, because if you know my wife, she's gonna be like, I'm not a creative. You know what I mean? But she's like,
Just like that.
literally like that. I'm not a creative, Rafa. And I'm just like, baby, you're the most creative person I know. You know. So for me, it was comparison. And which I had a question for you about comparison. Like, how do you not compare your stuff to like Pete's Coffee or like Starbucks
good.
or
Comparison.
even Trader Joe's? You know, it's $5. I get this whole thing. It's Colombian. I don't have to fight Pablo Escobar. It's really good. You know what I mean? So anyway, so I was thinking about comparison and like my wife, I'm with her every day, obviously, right? And so I'm like,
and your wife, so people know, like she does social media.
she does
she's
social
artsy.
media. She taught herself
She's-
photography.
Yeah,
she
she's a
YouTube
beast.
everything.
She's a beast.
You married a beast.
She's amazing.
beast.
She is.
You married a creative beast.
My God, like let me
Okay.
tell you, like she would literally. Like she's like, baby, we're gonna do this Melissa Helser thing. You know, if you don't know them, they're like really creative people at a farm, and they have beans too. And
You
but
smile
yours
and
are better,
nod.
I love you. So then, yeah. So then, what ended up happening? She's like, we're gonna do this creative thing. Next, you know, we're drawing lions, right? And like hers look like a lion. Like her thing literally has the whiskers, it has teeth. And mine looks like a sausage.
Did you do the turkey hand?
No,
Okay,
I couldn't
okay.
even do
I
the
would've
turkey
done that.
hand.
So
I
you're
couldn't
better
even
than
do
me,
the
man.
turkey hand. So anyway, so I have this sausage looking thing, and this is where I failed. I compared my drawing to hers. And because mine didn't look as majestic as hers, I said I must not be a creative.
Wow.
And because of that, that's literally what I believed. I was too busy looking at other people that I wasn't focused on the vision and promise that God gave
That's
me.
good,
Yeah.
Rafa.
And that's something that I think
Wow.
we all feel at is
Yeah.
somebody got a cool promise. And I'm like, well, why didn't God call me a Joseph? He must not love me. You know, but yet he's giving you the prophetic word of that you're Joseph. You know, I'm like, well, where's my robe? Where's my prophetic word? But I'm so focused on your prophetic work, I never find mine.
Right.
Right.
So I was so busy looking for why does mine look like a sausage and hers looks amazing.
So then, what was the moment? Because I remember all of a
Yeah.
sudden, this dude's building a wall, has
Yeah.
no idea what he's doing, and like it's amazing. And then the
Yes.
next week he's building desk. I find him in the studio playing piano with
Yep.
YouTube, and I'm like, who
Is
took my
this
Rafa? You know? So like what
Yes.
was it? Because like you said,
Yes.
you jumped on his train where you said, you became disciplined.
I did.
Because
become
I
disciplined.
remember I would come in early, and
Yes.
you were already in there.
Yes.
So what was it? I want to know that
Well,
moment.
okay. So the real moment I could tell you, I was reading this book called The Artisan's Soul by Erwin McManus.
Okay.
And I love it because he said this one phrase, and it's you're a creative not because you chose to, but because your dad's a creative. So because your dad's a creative, which is Father God, then you're automatically a creative. You just haven't figured out how to break out of your canvas or your mold. And he said this one phrase that I loved. It was just amazing. He was like, you could be Beethoven, you could be John Lennon. They are stuck with the same pattern, right? They're stuck with the same chords. No matter how talented they are, they can't add an extra chord.
Right,
Like
there's only so many notes.
there's only so many notes on the piano or on whatever that you're using, but it's not about adding. the next note. It's about rearranging them in a way that the world has never seen. And when he said that, I was like, my sausage is creative. My line is creative. And you know why? Because nobody's seen a sausage like this before.
That's a great point. I think
I
of
was
like Picasso. Did you like Picasso?
Yeah,
I look at
yes.
Picasso, I'm like, that eyeball's looking that way and that eyeball's looking that way. Like, that dude messed up.
Right. It's
But,
true.
like, it's
Nobody did it
beautiful.
that way.
Right.
No one did it that way.
And that's the creative part, right? Like
You're
nobody.
Picasso.
Papa, I've never seen a mug like this.
Yeah.
And I went to Magnolia. My wife takes me there every time to Target. I'm crying going in there. I'm like, Lord, what did I do? Even though I walked through the shadow of the valley of death, my bank account will be okay. You know what I
Listen,
mean?
Chip and Joanna, you know what I mean?
Yeah, man. So next thing you know, I'm in there, and they have mugs similar to this. But there's something about yours, even the way you packaged it. You know what I mean? Like it looked like a gift straight from God. You know, I'm like, and I can't imagine the people who like never experienced a Christmas. You know, that's never
Yeah.
gotten a gift because they've been too afraid to build a relationship with people or have self-rejected with their family. And here you are giving us not just the mug. You know, the mug itself is good, but like you're wrapping it and being intentional about it, you know? And I love that part about it. So thank you for that. But it's so unique, you know? So anyway, so that was the biggest change for me.
Because it was extraordinary to see you because like I saw the transformation with him. And so I want to go into this next part. Before that, real quick, I want to ask you kind of what he brought up, which I think everyone that has a dream will get hit with this, which is comparison.
Oh, yeah. Comparison is a big one.
Did that hit you at all? Because
oh,
I mean,
yeah.
you entered a field where, like you said, dude, like downtowns, the coffee shop's the thing, man. People want to sit, especially now where you can work online and all that. Coffee's it's a you know what I'm saying? It's like it's wine. It's like wine now.
Yeah. It's comparison definitely was a factor. I can't remember where I saw it, but they're like, if you go in the grocery store and you see down the bread aisle, right? There are so many different brands of bread.
My gosh,
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then, like, you ask yourself why, and it's like, why are there so many different brands of bread? You know what I mean? It's just like, yo, it's bread, you know. But then it's like, you go and you choose the one that you like. You know what I mean? And it's like, why do you like it? Maybe the branding on the bag is a little bit different. You know what I mean?
Wow.
That's so good.
Maybe some different kinds of breads, the quality is better.
I like sourdough.
Right? Sourdough is actually really, really good. If you make grilled cheese with sourdough,
Come on.
Oh,
amazing.
Avocado melt or
You know what I mean?
whatever. Like
Amazing. I can't eat avocado. The texture. Anyway.
That's blasphemy, but it's fine. No, but keep going the comparison because
sorry,
you're
go ahead,
absolutely
the bread,
right.
yes.
As soon as
Yeah.
you said that, I know the bread aisle.
Yeah, and so there's so many different kinds of breads, which is like, you gotta understand, like, in every market, there's room for uniqueness. You know what I
right,
mean?
come on.
There's room for you and what God has given you.
We needed to hear that.
You know, and so for me, I'm just like, listen, I'm not trying to be like the big brand that's already there. I'm trying to be me.
that's right.
I'm
come
trying to
on.
be what the Lord wants this brand to be. I'm trying to be that. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to be anything else. I don't want to strive to be like Starbucks or anything like that.
Or
you know?
Roman meal, Wonder
know?
Bread.
Right? You know what I
Gotta
mean?
be the original.
That's beautiful. Papa.
And so like I
Gosh.
want to be myself. I want my brand to be its own unique thing. You know what I mean? And
good.
so and here's the thing. Instead of comparing myself, which it's kind of okay, comparison, there's like another side to it, which is actually a good thing. You know what I'm saying? What can I learn from those who went before me?
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? What can I
That's
learn
good, Papa.
from what's already out there that I can use and turn it into my own? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Obviously, not stealing their stuff, but it's like there's a way to do things. There's a formula
right.
to do things.
Absolutely.
There's no need to reinvent the wheel, but at the same time, I'm not like, I'm not going to compare myself to the wheel because it's already there. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's so
It's
good.
like,
That's so good.
I think you bring up a good point. The fact that, and like we all know the scripture, like our warfare is not carnal. Like
right.
it's not me versus you. So the way I've always looked at it is, if you get breakthrough, I get breakthrough.
Come
yeah.
on.
So if you broke through first, you went through the wall first, so I get to follow.
Yeah.
Like I think that so many of us miss that moment where when we hear a good testimony, let's face it, two things happen when someone succeeds. You're either excited or the comparison kicks in and we go, I was hoping it wasn't going to work, which is so sad. I think that shows in a part of a heart where there's an orphan something going on there that
Right,
needs to get
right.
healed, where like if you succeed, I believe we can succeed.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
You know, actually, just to touch on that real quick, the Bible does say to actually rejoice in another's testimony.
You have to,
Ooh,
You know
come
what I
on.
mean?
because it's yours.
To be encouraged by another's faith.
Well,
you know?
because if you think
Good,
about
Papa
it,
K.
if we're in Christ, your testimony is my testimony,
Mhm.
and testimony means He's going to do it again,
That's right.
and so it's going to look different.
Yeah.
And I think so many of us, you need to learn to stop comparing, and if someone makes it, man, go congratulate them.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Like I'm celebrating this.
Yeah.
Like you're out there, putting yourself out there, you're doing it. Like, dude, we decided to start this podcast.
Yeah.
And it's just like we're just like, why
Yeah.
not?
And then here you are with mugs.
Here
and
you are, we
beans.
got
Like,
mugs,
let's go,
and it's
Jesus.
like God's doing something. But
love it.
I
man.
think that's so
Yeah.
great. So
And
go for it.
just real quick on that, honor plays a big role in that also. You
Ooh,
know,
All
Honor.
right, talk about that. Take because I think even that sounds a little religious.
Yeah, take the roots
So
off
break that
honoring.
down. Break that down.
Yeah.
Okay, so like you said, if somebody has a breakthrough in an area, right? Favor. Okay, I'll say it like this. If you have a breakthrough, right, in an area of your life and I celebrate it, God is more inclined to release that same favor over my life because I took part in being happy and joyful for what he did in your life.
It's
Yeah.
beautiful.
You know what I mean? But when comparison kicks in, it's hard to receive from what you don't celebrate or don't honor.
That's
You
so
know what I
good,
mean?
Papa.
It's
I
hard.
can see that.
You know what I mean?
It's like this is how I teach. So I'm a children's director, you know. So what I teach the kids is anytime like you whine and complain and do that, you actually like close the door from receiving God.
Right.
Like you literally
exactly.
close the door
Yeah.
on the blessing.
That's really good.
Right? Like to me it's like it's the language of heaven.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
What Thanksgiving does is it opens the door, and then here's the thing, it changes your perspective. If I
Exactly.
start celebrating you, my perspective will go higher.
Mm-hmm.
But if I go like, oh, Papa K did well, like, oh, what if my company doesn't do as well? My perspective's going to lower, and I'm going to see you now like it's me against you instead
Right.
of me with you.
Right.
That's really good.
And I think like every one of us have to go through that. Every
Absolutely.
one of us have to
Yeah.
go through that.
Well, I was just gonna say, like, I think the perspective piece, like, we say perspective a lot too, but it's like visualizing. You know, I looked up the word visualize, and it means
I love Rob.
it
Mr.
means
Dictionary, it's a
to
new
make
word.
visible to the eye.
Mhm.
Isn't that crazy?
Ooh,
Like
come
that's what visualizing mean. You know, people are like, even the Bible. You know, I heard it so many times in church where they're like, write the vision, make it plain. Write the vision, make it plain. People perish, blah blah blah. And I'll write it down, and nothing would happen.
Mhm.
You know, and I'm like, why didn't it happen? And it's like, yeah, it was on paper, but it wasn't visible to my eye. It wasn't
Right.
visible to my imagination. It wasn't visible to a place where I can actually see me being there, right? We're outside of time with God.
good.
So there's a part of Rafa that's already there. There was already a mug being made by you and me sitting here doing it. But I think what happens is when we compare, we close our eyes and we close that part of our brain to visualize us in that outcome.
Right,
But the
right.
power of honoring is actually partnering,
Mhm.
right? So it's like now I'm gonna open up that part of my brain and I'm gonna see myself sitting there with that mug.
Right.
And it's something that I've been practicing visualizing. Even on my run, I'm like, all right, God, what are we visualizing?
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, visualize yourself at the top of the hill already. And I'm like, okay, this is how I look up there. I look happy. I look sweaty. I look done. I didn't die. And God's like, okay, well, it's time for the work. So he brings me back from that vision that he gave me, that ability to make it visible. And now he's like, you're going to do it this way. You're going to breathe in 4 times. You're going to exhale twice. You're going to put one foot in front of the other. You're going to slow down here, but you're going to move up there.
Right.
And it's the
Yeah.
same concept with life, but
Yeah.
it only happens when you honor
Yeah.
and give
Good.
thanks.
Even what you said,
opens
like
up.
you're being disciplined.
Yes.
And like, man, I think discipline can be a religious word.
Take the roof.
Like, you know what I mean? Like even okay, we'll talk about it.
Come on.
I think so many of us, not all of us, have fathers that didn't discipline us the right way.
Yeah.
Where we have to remember when God disciplines, he disciplines us with his nature.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? He disciplines with his nature. God doesn't know how to have evil thoughts about us.
Right.
Sometimes our natural fathers, we're not perfect. You know, we got to be okay with that. And hopefully we got healing. You don't have a right to be hurt. You have a right to be healed.
Come on
Come on
now.
now.
But it's true though. No, but I say that because I
We've been
think
there.
so many of
Exactly,
us
you know?
are afraid of God in a bad way when it comes to the discipline. When the
Right.
reality is, you brought the joy out of it. God's going, Papa K, like I see you here.
Mhm.
Like dude, you have this coffee shop. You have beans. You have this next generation that you're going to breathe dreams into them. You know what I mean? And like to me, he disciplines with his joy.
Yeah.
He disciplines to me like with his kindness. I think for
That's
me,
good.
I was disciplined. I had a great dad. I don't want to bash my dad, but the tone scared me. The nature of my father's tone scared me. And so when I brought that into my relationship with God, I thought God had the same tone. And as I
Yeah.
began intimacy with God, I was like, oh, like you like me. You know what I mean? Like my dad liked me, but the
Yeah,
tone was harsh.
yeah,
You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? So like in the discipline, I'm learning like discipline is a great joy for him. And when I know his nature, it becomes a joy for me. Like
good.
the waking up early, the coming here, playing the piano before no one's here.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like you're in here. There you are. Like you could be in your. So he has long days. He does so many things, and on Wednesdays, he's disciplined. Where before he goes and does chats, which is it can be draining, and
Yeah.
he's here playing the
I love it,
piano.
Yeah.
This thing that he was once bullied out of,
Right.
he now has a discipline.
on.
Every Wednesday he comes in here and like enjoys God,
Right.
enjoys this nature. Anything
good.
else with that? I have.
Yeah. Well, I had a
for it.
question about you guys just keep saying it's very nonchalant. It's like I
Uh-oh.
can hear the voice of God. I hear God talking to me, doing this. Just in case we have some viewers that are like, how the heck can you audibly hear the voice of God? How can you actually hear him talking to you? What does it mean when you guys say the voice of God?
That's good.
Yeah, that's a really good question, actually. I was actually talking to someone about that yesterday. There's different ways that God speaks to people. And I think sometimes we have to understand that God created everything so he can speak through anything.
Come on,
Right?
there
Like
it
when you
is.
look at the
Really
Bible,
good.
literally he spoke through a donkey. You know what I mean? Like
did.
literally, he spoke through a donkey. But what I pray at times is like, Lord, make me aware of how you're speaking to me in this season, in this moment. And there's times where he'll speak to me through a dream, through dreams, through my mind's eye. There's a thing as just like a dreaming with God in your imagination.
Right,
You know what I
right.
mean?
Absolutely.
Visualizing.
Visual. You know what I mean? And
That's good.
there's
Invisible.
he'll sometimes speak to me in a sense of like I just know that I know because I get this overwhelming peace.
Ooh, it's good.
There's
good.
another. The best way I can describe it is a thought in a good way that is contrary to what I'm currently thinking. Right. So if I'm asking God about this and my thoughts are going in this direction, and then another thought comes in that's just like whoosh, and I'm just like. You know what I mean? And it just captures, and I'm like, okay. So that's at least for me. You know
That's
what I
really
mean?
good, Papa
And
K.
I'll also say this: God speaks a lot by His word, like the written word.
That's
Come
right.
on.
That's right.
The Bible says that a sheep knows the voice of his shepherd,
Come
and
on.
so
Bye.
the more time you spend just in God's presence, just communing with Him, just being intimate with the Lord, reading the Word,
right.
worshiping, the more He speaks, the more you're able to just recognize it,
Come
right?
on.
When you look at, any of us in this room or anybody online, if you're in a mall, right, where it's a crowded place and there's a lot of noise and a lot of just things going on, right? If your mother or father were to scream your name, you automatically look.
Yeah, you know
because
that. You know that
it.
voice. Oh,
You
Wait,
know?
I gotta say something, guys. When I'm in Target in Magnolia, my wife's in Magnolia, I'm lost. Just to mess with her. Literally, I promise you can ask her right now. We'll be walking around, and I'm like, "Kaka, kaka," just obnoxious. And next thing you know, I either hear two things. Depends what mood she's in. I either hear "Kaka," and I go find her, or she's like, "Please, for the love of God, stop." But anyways, that was a good analogy. I like that. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, that's funny, man. That's good.
but you know that voice.
Yeah, you know
You know
that
the
voice.
voice.
You can
Yeah.
close your eyes and
Right.
you know it.
And you know it because it's a voice that's so familiar. You know what I mean?
Can I tell you, my
That's
mom
good,
lives in
Papa.
California, and I still hear her.
Wow.
Like what? Like what?
Like
Give me an
she
example.
yells
Give me an
like-
example.
No, just
Like
I know that
across-
voice so well. I still feel like I hear Abe, and I'm like, is she here? She's in Omaha or she's in California. No, am I the only one?
Yeah.
Oh my god, I was at military school one time, and I swear I thought I heard her voice. I'm like, open the door.
He's like, what?
That's so good.
But
Oh, that's
I'll say
funny.
this,
yeah,
especially about hearing the voice of God.
come on.
And I think so many of us we use the wrong word. I think we say hear.
Come on.
And I like how I teach the kids is we sense. We sense.
That's good. Yeah.
Sense.
You know,
Sense.
there's
I
a
love that.
sensing. I think what the word sense does is it makes you aware of your senses, right? You're seeing, you're hearing. Like you said, he created everything, and the Bible says he wants to pray without ceasing. So he wants to talk to us more than we're wanting to receive.
Right.
That's really
I
good.
think that's what we need to understand about the nature. And I know for
Say
me,
it again. Say it again.
what?
He wants to talk.
Oh, he wants to talk to you more, probably than we want to receive, right? Because he said, remember, the Bible says, "Pray without ceasing." So he's always wanting to speak, and like you said, he creates everything. So he's always trying to grab our attention. He's
Right.
always trying to do it. And I think when we realize how much he loves us and wants to father us, we're more aware of he's speaking.
Mm-hmm.
Where so many of us, when we're unsure that he loves us, we're like, "Oh, that's not God,"
That's so
and
good.
we shut it down.
Right.
But if you're rooted and grounded, that's where we broke down righteousness. When you're rooted and grounded, the fact that because of what Jesus did, he sees you perfect and flawless. He sees you're a beautiful son or daughter. So his greatest thing is you. And so of course he wants to talk to you. So I know for me, and I think you brought it up, is we're all so different. And that's the beautiful part about it. How he's going to speak to us is so different.
So good.
We use words like coincidences.
Mm-hmm.
That's one way God speaks. Coincidences, right? I know for me, I love typewriters. So one of the biggest ways I talk to God is I sit with a typewriter and I just go, God, what do you think about me? And
That's
I just
awesome.
get sensing in me. And every time I type, he's there with words.
Mm-hmm.
But I tell you why. You want to know why he speaks? Because my expectation is there.
Right.
I expect him to speak.
Right.
So good.
I'm a son.
That's right.
It's like I'm a new father, and I'm like I want my son to ask me questions. Like I want
Right.
I hate when he like runs off and I'm like he doesn't answer me. I'm like kiss, and he like runs away. I'm like man, like you know what I mean? And I'm a natural father, so imagine our God the Father
Ooh,
is
Yeah.
always wanting to like ask me something,
Yeah.
you know?
That's
and we're
good,
so
Chopper.
quick. And you said the imagination, and I think so many of us got to remember God gave us an imagination.
Right.
That's right.
So the enemy will always try to pervert.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes, like you said, if it's good, if it's bringing life, we're so quick to go, it was just my imagination.
That's right.
No!
Yeah.
Like, it might be him.
Yeah.
right.
Right?
It's
Yeah.
good.
100%. When you think about it, the world, and I believe Pastor Mike Todd said this. When you look at the creation of the world, it was first an imagination in
Yep.
God.
Come on.
He thought it, and then he spoke it, and it came to being.
Created it.
You know what I mean? And so I think a lot of times we downplay our imaginations because just growing up in this world, we were taught that like our imaginations were a
It's
bad thing.
useless.
And you know what I mean? It's
Right.
like, it's like, okay, come on into the real world. You know what I
Right.
mean?
I want to be an astronaut. Grow up.
Right. You know what I
Right.
Only
mean?
2%. 2%. Make it.
yeah.
And so our imaginations are powerful. Like
Yeah.
everything that we've put our hands to, everything that we put our minds to, like we've imagined it first in our imagination, in our mind.
It's
You know what I
good.
mean? For instance, like Nema,
Come on.
it was an imagination at first. You know what I mean? And then, like, just through process and whatever it might be, like it came into actual like fruition, and it's like it's a thing. You know what
It's
I mean?
beautiful.
And so there's so many times where God will speak to us through our mind's eye, and it might just be just like a quick, just bloop. But
Yeah.
now my like you said, the expectancy,
the
like when you're
expectation.
expecting Him to speak, you're aware. You know what I mean? Like you're just aware of Him speaking. You know what I mean? And so then you're ready to like receive or even just
Right.
to hear what He's saying.
Good,
And it's kind of
Papa
like
K.
what you were saying about the mall. Like the more you spend time with him, the more you know his nature, you know it.
Mm-hmm.
You know his voice.
It's really good.
And you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's like you said, if your mom came in and you closed your eyes and she said your name, you'd go, "That's my mom."
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's good.
It's really good.
Can I go to one more thing? How we doing on battery time? We're good. Okay.
So good. Yeah.
I want to hit this last part. Are you having fun?
Oh yeah.
Okay,
100%.
cool. I'm having a
Okay,
great
good,
time.
good, good, good.
So I want to read this last thing, and I think this is really good. You're gonna love this. So he says this at the very end. Everything you want in the realm of the kingdom is found through this veil of difficulty by stepping into the realm of inconvenience.
Mm.
I want to talk about inconvenience because he says this: you don't get it by coasting on yesterday's breakthrough. You were born for expansion.
It's really good.
Because I think both of your stories, Rafa, with the creative thing, you're already busy, right?
Yeah,
You working
absolutely.
a 9 to 5, you're starting a church, and here's this Nema Cafe. Like, I think so many of us, like you said, we wait for I'll do this when all my ducks are in a row.
Come on.
And I don't know anywhere in the Bible where that happens.
Right. Right.
So tell me about inconvenience.
Uh,
I mean, you're here tonight.
yeah.
So we're recording this at, Jackie, what time is it? Like 9 o'clock? What time is it right now?
10:30.
It's 10:30.
Yeah.
It's 10:30 on a work day.
10:30 and work day. Actually, just came from Bible study.
You just came from Bible study,
You
and
just
here
ran
you're
a Bible
here.
study.
So let's talk about like
gosh.
inconvenience.
Yeah.
How do you brace that? Because I think inconvenience can be scary.
Mm-hmm.
So talk to me about that.
So, inconveniences are uncomfortable because it's you're having to get used to something that's not your actual norm. You know what I mean? And so it's actually challenging like your nature, like your, and in that moment, it's like you have to recognize that in whether it's in my character, whether it's just like in who I am as a person, when I just I'm trying to put the right words to it. Inconveniences are God's way of showing what's possible and what he can do. You know what I mean? And so like in that moment when I like accept the inconvenience, like I'm actually in that moment partnering with God.
That's
You know what I
good.
mean?
It's really good, Papa.
I think you brought a part of you brought a thing about God's nature that I think so many of us are afraid of, about the inconvenience. Like you said, like I don't think God gets to enlarge in us when we're not being inconvenienced. Is that safe to say?
Yeah.
I think so.
Like kind of like what he's saying. Like you don't get by coasting on yesterday's breakthrough, because yesterday's breakthrough is really today's norm, today's
Right.
comfortability.
Right.
So if you want to grow, like you're gonna need constant inconvenience.
Yeah.
That's good.
And I think so many of us, we go into that, can I have a vacation now, where we just
Right.
So how
Yeah.
like how do you embrace that? Especially Rafa, we'll go to you for this one. So with the creative things, piano. Like how did you break? You were married, you were working here. How did you break the inconvenience? When did like you were like, okay, you know what, I'm gonna be inconvenienced to play the piano.
I think honestly, I think inconvenience happens when you just don't believe God. Like I think that's honestly when inconvenience happens. Like even I was like,
Ooh.
once I believed that God was the one that gave me this gift, I didn't care about what time it was. I didn't care if I had ate. I didn't care honestly if my wife was at home waiting for me. Like it was just something that like.
And she's in the room, by the way, people.
It was just something that I never had before, And
Yeah.
I was like, and I believed God. And once I believed God and I knew he gave it to me and he's still helping me go through this motion, I'm not striving, I'm not forcing it. It's something that he's doing with me as a father. It's no longer inconvenience, it's happy fun time. You know
That's
what I mean?
good.
And it's funny because like you would think you would get it after one time, right? It's like, okay, I already beat inconvenience and I'm okay with being in traffic. You know what I mean? But then something else happens and then you self-reject or you self-punish and you're just like, I must not have really conquered it. But it's like, no, it's an
Ooh.
opportunity for Father God to come and father you again,
Ooh.
Okay,
I have a question because
Yeah,
something
yeah, go
really
for
hit me.
it.
So is inconvenience then an invitation for a new discipline?
100%.
1,000%. 1,000%.
10,000%.
I need to write that down. Where's my
Absolutely.
pen?
Somebody
Rafa, write that down
I
for
love
me.
it.
So inconvenience is God's way of saying, ooh, new discipline.
New discipline.
Yes,
New discipline.
yes. Or new way to father.
Exactly.
Yeah.
A new way is like an invitation. It's even like a greater level of intimacy and it's a greater level of trust.
And pleasure,
You know what I
and joy,
mean?
his nature.
Yeah, his nature. It's like I can. Okay, I'll say this. The Bible does say that without faith, it's impossible to please the Lord.
That's right.
You know what I mean? And so in that moment, when I recognize that I literally cannot do it on my own, and I trust in God and I have faith, that, you know what I'm saying? That opens up a greater level of invitation, you know what I mean?
Right.
To just partner with him and just do it with him in that moment. You know what I mean?
That's really good.
Even hearing you, like you said, we have our nicknames. Yours is Joseph, and like I couldn't imagine just being his story. You have a dream, and then your brothers backstab you. You're a slave. You're in prison. Talk about inconvenience.
Come on.
Yeah.
And like, is there any way from your guys' journey where you've learned, or you're still learning, to embrace inconvenience easier? Like recognizing it. You know what I
Absolutely.
mean? Like I think so many of us, when the inconvenience comes, dude, we shut down or we go through it with a bad attitude.
That's right.
Mhm.
I was gonna say
Like
that.
I've gone through inconvenience mad.
Yeah.
Like
That's right.
I went through it,
That's
but
right.
I
Yeah.
didn't learn from it. God didn't grow in me, and I went through it with a bad attitude. Does that make
Yeah,
sense?
it
Absolutely.
So like
does.
how do you embrace that? You know?
Well, I think I'm still learning about this, just literally this week, and it's about back to the character piece. Like
Mhm.
we think inconvenience traps us, but the thing is, if we understand that we're not trapped because nobody can ever trap our character, then we're actually free. And if we're free, we actually want to conquer that inconvenience because we know it's not going to trap us.
It's good.
And so like, there's so many times I'm like, it's an inconvenience for me to stop on a Sunday while I have a million things going to go and hug this person. That doesn't need a hug because I hugged them last Sunday. You know what I mean? But God is like, go and hug this person. It's an inconvenience to do that because I feel like this person is going to stop me and trap me here, But yet there's breakthrough in that moment.
Yeah.
There's breakthrough in that place. And once I realized that, like, nobody can oppress my mind. And because nobody can oppress my mind, they can't oppress my character. If they can't oppress my character, they can't oppress my faith. And if they can't oppress my faith, then I'm unstoppable and I can do whatever it is that I need to do once I set my mind to it.
Yeah.
And this person gets a
good.
hug. Not only do they get a hug, but they get healing. Not only do they get healing, they find out identity. Not only do they find out identity, but they get a chance to go home and change their environment.
Yeah.
So I think most of the times we don't tackle inconvenience because we're scared it's going to trap us.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. And I think one way that I've been kind of able to deal with inconveniences is a couple things. So one is to have a servant's heart.
So good.
It's like when you have a heart of a servant, it's like I don't mind like putting myself to the side, because at the end of the
All
day,
right. Yeah, break that down though. Cause like you made that sound so easy. Like, yeah, I'm just gonna serve others before me. Like, yeah, we all could do that. But
I'll-
like break that down.
I'll give a practical example. So with when Nova Hub Church when we were still in a hotel,
Is that
So-
the church you helped start?
yeah,
Okay, cool.
yeah. We had to set up equipment and tear down equipment, and there was no place to put it, and at the time it's just like, okay, what's the best way to steward finances? It's like, okay, we don't really need to buy a storage unit right now. So I was like, okay, let's just put it in my apartment. Right? And this is like less than a month after I just moved into my apartment. And then at the same token, it's like, okay, well, if it's going to my apartment and I have the space in my car, say the equipment is going to my car. And so it was like an inconvenience. But again, I saw the big picture.
saw
Big
the big
picture.
pic-
there
Come
it
on,
is.
Papa K.
Okay.
I saw the big picture.
There
It was
it
like,
is.
okay, like this
There
has
it
to
is.
get done. You know what I mean? There's still a vision. There's still something that God wants to get done.
That's right.
But I don't think people really understand when you inconvenience yourself for other people. Like you think about it. Like when Jesus came on this earth, he
That's
came
right.
to serve.
That's
You know what I
right.
mean? Like
Come
he was
on.
washing the feet of the disciples,
Right.
And like when you take on that mindset and when you take on that heart, like God will begin to convenience himself for you because you've
come on,
made,
Papa.
you know what I mean? There's another thing where we might have to take the roof off of this.
Come on, take it.
Papa K.
But
So happy you
Jesus
said
says
that.
he says, you know what I'm saying, like suffer with him, you know what I mean?
Come on.
To I'm misquoting
That's
this
okay,
like so
that's okay.
bad.
Go
You know
for
what I'm
it,
You
go
saying?
got it. This come on.
You
You
you're
know,
the
it's
judge in
like
here.
it's suffer with him now, you know what I'm saying, and reign with him in glory. You know what I mean? And so like I don't know, that just gives me hope. And there's another verse where it talks about suffering produces like hope, and
That's right, come
hope
on.
produces character, and
John.
character produces endurance, and
right.
all of that. You know what I mean?
That's good.
And so I think inconvenience does bring another level of or another invitation for a greater level of discipline. You know what I
Right.
mean? And through that, it builds your character. It
Right.
builds like
It brings his nature
job.
more
yeah,
real to you,
Yeah.
and you
yeah.
begin to. I mean, let's face it. We ought to walk just as he walked,
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
right? And I think, man. So you said something that like really hit me about the inconvenience, but hold on, I forgot my train of thought. I was looking at Rafa's shoes. But you're talking about like the embracing it, in which you said you saw the bigger picture.
Yeah.
So I have a question for you, because Rafa and I and Jackie, we're doing kind of this leadership thing,
That's
and
really
they
good.
keep talking about about the vision, how important vision is. So I have a question of you, someone that has the macro and the micro. How often do you have to
Come on.
revert back to the bigger picture?
That is so
Is
good.
this a daily thing? Is this a, man, you get hit and it's like, man, maybe I should look at that vision again? Is it up on your wall? Like, because like you said, because if it's not there, we won't embrace the inconvenience. Because
Right.
what you just said, I think, really hit it. It was the fact that if you have the macro, the bigger vision, you'll embrace the inconvenience.
Come
But
on.
if not, you'll take shortcuts.
Yeah, you'll take shortcuts. For me personally, I have, I guess, my vision and whatnot written down, but it's gotten to a place where it's more so ingrained on my heart. You know what I mean? Where it's just like it almost becomes like second nature. And not even just speaking about just like the coffee business, you know what I mean? But like I was saying earlier, where Holy Spirit had told me that it's not about me, it's about generations.
Right.
You know what I mean? And like I think about it, I'm just like, yo, imagine how much we can actually affect and have an impact on this world if like kingdom finances, you know what I'm saying, wasn't like an issue, like it wasn't a problem. You know what I mean? Like
Come on.
if I wanted to build a homeless
Yeah, I was
shelter,
thinking that.
I could do it.
Come on.
You know what I mean? If I wanted to build an orphanage, I could do it.
Right.
Or think about this from a kingdom perspective, right? Where you see a whole city, a whole region changed because the church is able to build businesses, not only to give people jobs, but let's say you get people off the street or people that just haven't been introduced to the kingdom, right?
Right.
And you bring them through a process of just healing and just, whatever it might be, restoration. And instead of saying, yeah, we'll help you find a job, it's like, bam, I can give you a job.
Ooh,
You know what I
come on,
mean?
Papa.
And just things like that. It's like when I think about those kinds of things, which I believe some of that stuff, like the Lord is calling me to,
Come on.
bigger than just coffee, bigger than just a brand. You know what I mean? Like generational stuff. You know what I mean? When you have those kinds of things, like it's easy to be like, okay, I might take this hit today, but it's all right. Like I'm gonna keep on trucking. I'm gonna keep on pushing. You know what I mean? And it's a really trailblazers, you know what I'm saying? When they're cutting through the weeds, when they're cutting through that stuff, you know what I mean? And they get cuts here and there, you know what I mean? It's because they're trailblazing,
Right.
you know what I mean? And so it's like, I think we have to actually prepare ourselves when God calls us to do a thing to know that like we're going to get hit. And that's okay. That's fine.
okay, that's right.
You know what I mean?
part of
That's
it.
all right,
Oh, So you guys know Nate.
It's good,
He
Papa.
always quotes the movie Moneyball, where he
Mhm.
talks about like, hey, someone's got to go through the wall first.
Yeah.
And he goes, and the first one through the wall always gets bloody.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I think both you guys, the biggest thing is you saw the bigger picture. Like I know for me, so with the college thing, real quick. So I
Yes,
eventually
yes.
got my degree.
Yes,
Yeah.
you did.
But like you said, I was thinking about it like, okay, after hearing you guys talk, like what got me through that was I saw the bigger picture.
Yeah.
I saw, which was, one, I'm God's son, so I am smart. The other thing was, I know I was supposed to marry my wife Kristen,
Mhm.
but I felt God was like, you will never get her if you don't finish your degree first.
Ooh, wow. Man.
So, anyways, it was through that. Like I said, I saw the bigger picture.
Mhm.
It was worth it, and like, man, it was a grueling process. But through the process, the inconvenience, because I have to admit, so the time I left for college, I think it was right before you kind of came into the union.
Mhm. I remember,
And,
yeah.
like the union was popping, with Nate and Brian and Erwin, all these amazing people. And
Yeah.
God's like, go to school now. No, like no, it's great now. Inconvenience came knocking.
Come on.
Oh, yeah.
But like I said, I recognized his voice and I saw the bigger picture. And look, now I'm in a room with you guys.
Yeah.
I'm back here doing this
Yeah.
podcast. I think so many of us are robbed because we fully don't believe in the macro. We fully don't believe in the bigger vision.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have moments of that still? Like, I don't think you do anymore. But when you first started off, like, I mean, I know we kind of talked about it, but I really want to hit like the discipline of like, let's break it down like this. If someone's watching this,
Mm-hmm.
what are three things you would tell them
It's good.
that has a dream? Someone's watching this and going, I have a dream. I have this thing, but I am scared beyond anything of taking steps.
Yeah.
Like what if you were to name, I don't know, what do they say? The top three things business. So you're at Forbes magazine. Someone's reading your thing.
The pressure.
Come on. What would be the top three things? Top three things.
Okay, I would say the first thing is faith. faith with works. You know what I
Okay,
mean?
break that down though.
Yo,
Faith,
take
like,
the roof off faith.
take
Yeah.
the roof
What does that
off
So
mean?
faith.
let's say if God has given you a dream, if God has given you a vision, right, and God has spoken to you, or even let me not say spoken, if you sense that
Good job.
he's leading you in a direction, you know what I mean? It's trusting wholeheartedly in God's ability to see it like into its completed thing. You know what I mean?
It's good.
Um,
The trust have to be there.
You know what I mean? The trust has to be there. Second thing is always seek wise counsel.
Ooh.
One thing that I recognize is that there are people that have done this, and it might not be specifically the whether it's business, whatever it might be, a creative thing. It might not. They might not have done that specific thing, but they have done a lot of things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's good,
And
Papa.
I remember one of my mentors. She was telling me around when I first started being in communication with her, and she was saying, "Listen, I'm gonna tell you to not. Well, I would advise you not to do a certain thing. Obviously, it's your life. You can make the decision if you want to make the decision. But what she was saying was like, I've hit my head on this thing so many times, and so because I've gone through it, I don't want you to go through the same thing. You know what I mean? And so
So
then
teachable. Gotta
being
remain
teachable.
teachable.
So
Yeah,
good.
being teachable. So the first one, faith. The second one, being teachable. Um, and the last one, you have to take a risk.
Ooh.
That's scary.
Yeah.
But every major business, every business that is impactful and is making a change in this world started off with an imagination, and then that imagination um, got put into action.
It's good.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But you have to take a risk.
Mm.
And that's where you have to put in the perspective of macro and micro versus just situational.
Got you.
You know what I
The
mean?
big picture to the what's step one.
Mhm.
By the way, what was your step one? You have this dream. Did you have the name first, or did we like I'm gonna buy mugs, or I'm
So,
gonna buy
yeah.
beans, I'm gonna
So,
buy.
yeah, I started. First step was I wanted to get an LLC, and so I was like, okay, if I get an LLC, that means I have to find a name. And so I was
Say the
searching, and was looking up a bunch of different names, and
Can we know some of them? What were what were some of the ones that didn't make it? White Lightning? No, I was kidding.
Brown Thunder or something. It was one of the ones that didn't make it was Aroma Beans.
Aroma
Yeah.
beans. That's so good.
Aroma Beans. It was good, but I went to the
And they had it.
to get a domain for it, and it was taken already.
Sad
and so-
face.
Okay.
Sad face.
So where did Nema come from?
That's a crazy story.
Wait. Say
So-
Nema. Say Nema.
Nema.
You just have a nice voice, Papa.
It's in your
That's
heart.
all I know.
It's in your
man.
heart. Yeah,
You know, it's crazy, man. But so where I got Nema from was actually my mentor. She was like, okay, well, go back to your roots, and just like what's in there that you could just like use, you know what I mean? And I couldn't find anything. I couldn't find anything. It just nothing was just clicking. And I was just like, man, Lord, like I need like grace. I just need grace right now. Right? So I was like, okay, let me just look up grace in different languages.
Come on now. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I looked up grace, and actually there was a coffee shop on the other side of Manassas called Jirani.
Yeah.
And Jirani is Swahili for friend. So I was like, what is Swahili for grace? Nema.
What?
Wow.
Is that what Nema means?
Yeah, Nema is grace.
So
in
you're saying
Swahili.
I'm drinking grace.
I'm
Yeah.
drinking. My God.
Nema-
My
Nema-
God.
I'm
Wait,
gonna-
real quick. You know we gotta do this. Take the roof off grace. I need to know
Yeah.
what grace
What is
means
grace?
on religious.
Papa K, break it down.
So I would say grace is to me the goodness of God. That's to me what grace means. It's like mercy means like I don't bring my judgment on you.
Right.
Right? Like,
come on.
okay, let me say this. An analogy was given to me when I was younger, and it really, really stuck with me. So mercy is like, okay, I'm not going to give you a speeding ticket. You were just speeding, and
Right.
you got pulled over from a police officer's perspective, right? But grace is like, listen, you don't deserve this. You know what I mean? Like, you don't deserve a ticket. You don't deserve to go to jail. But not only that, here, take my car.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Like,
that's so good.
take my car. Like, you have
Right.
my car to do what you actually need to do. Like, go do what you
Wow,
need to
that's
do.
good, Papa K.
You know what I mean? And like this favor and just grace. You know what I mean? Just my
That's good.
goodness, my kindness. You know, my love, my provision. You know what I mean?
Man, do you have like a tagline or anything like Nema?
Uh,
You know how like companies have taglines,
I've
like
gone.
Folgers, like,
Like,
coffee in the
like
morning.
Frosted,
yeah,
like Frosted Flakes. They're great.
yeah. Do you
But,
have one? Or-
yeah, so I had a couple, but I kind of like narrowed it down. And you know, I think it might, I don't know, maybe it's safe, maybe not. But grace to prosper.
Grace to prosper. So
Mhm.
Nema, grace to prosper.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, dude.
Grace to
Yo.
prosper, and just like
Dude,
more
yeah.
more
Sounds
life,
so much
man.
better coming out
That-
of your voice.
yeah.
Man. Like I just like that.
I'm sorry, I didn't finish the story. What was step one?
Oh, that's funny.
I'm sorry,
My
guys.
bad,
my bad,
I'm a bad host here.
So no, step one was finding the name, and then after I got the name, I was like, okay, I'm gonna do an LLC. Once I got the LLC,
What's a LLC? Sorry, we're new to this.
LLC is a limited liability corporation,
Okay.
and so it's essentially, in the simplest of terms, it's protecting yourself and it's separating you from the entity of your business.
Gotcha.
That's really good.
You know what I mean? So it's protecting you. So, you know, rules and regulations change and whatnot, but essentially it protects you from, let's say, if somebody wants to sue your business, they're not going to come after your personal funds
Gotcha.
and your personal.
Nice.
Okay.
Smart.
You know what I mean? It's
All
the
right.
the business. It's a separate entity.
I like
So you
that.
got that. You got the name.
So I got that. Got the name. Then I got that. And then I was like, okay, like I just need to start social media. And so what I did is I went on what the social media accounts, I guess, or platforms that I wanted to really push, I guess, Nema. And so I just started on the Instagram and Facebook, which is where I'm at right now. And then I was like, okay, from that step, I need to buy like a domain name, which is the, you know, when you see like the .com or .org
Yeah.
and things of that nature. So I was like, okay, let me actually go and make sure that NemaCafe.com is not taken.
Right.
Because, you know, sometimes
You never know.
you
Yeah,
never know.
yeah.
Because what actually people do as for another source of income is they will think of domain names that people could potentially
Oh
use,
no, they don't.
and they would buy them
And then bid
right?
them off.
and then bid them off.
That is so.
You know what I mean?
Savage.
Wow.
That is not
Yeah.
grace.
That
That
is-
it is not
That is
great.
not Nema.
That is not Nema.
Selfish.
You know.
Disrespectful.
Or smart.
What an inconvenience.
Yeah, you know, and so I did that, and it was cool. And so then from there, I registered the name in the state of Virginia, and then
So you literally like had to learn all these steps.
Wow.
So
Well-
is there an anema.com?
yep, NemaCafe.com,
My gosh.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then same Instagram.
Instagram Nema Cafe,
Nice.
Facebook Nema Cafe.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I think that's all.
That's
for
beautiful,
now.
man. Talk about expanding, Papa K. Like,
Yeah,
You're doing
I'm so
them,
proud
man.
of you, man.
Thank
That's amazing.
thank you.
This has been like amazing, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, this has been an amazing podcast. I'm kind of like shocked right now. I can't wait to like take notes from watching this. But any last words or anything you guys want to say?
I actually got a question for you, Papa.
Sure, yeah.
If there's one thing that would change somebody's life, what would you want to say? What's something that you would regret not saying if you got in your car and drove away?
It's good.
Have fun, man.
Oh,
Ooh,
come
yeah.
on.
Have fun.
That's
Oh.
too simple, Papa. Why that?
Have fun.
No, that's good.
You know,
man.
like
Tell me why.
Gosh, wow.
God is fun. I think people think God is like this
Come on.
strict, you know, judge sitting, you know.
If it
but-
feels good, stop.
Yeah, if it feels good, stop it. You know, like, but it'll say no. God is fun. You know what I mean, and He likes to have fun. And I think just like to me, there's no point in really. Well, okay, it's a difference between discipline, right? Because sometimes you have to do things that you don't like,
Right.
right? But at the end of the day, even with stuff that's fun to you, you still have to discipline yourself in that, right?
Right.
But I would just say like have fun with it. You know what I mean? Like just enjoy yourself, enjoy those moments with the Lord. You know what I mean? Be honest with the Lord. You know, just here's the thing, man. And actually, I think that led to this. So a lot of times we try to compartmentalize God in our lives, but it's like, yo, he wants to be a part of everything.
Come on.
You know what I mean? Like everything, every step of the way, like he wants to be involved, you know?
Beautiful.
And so I would say, yeah, just have fun and just like do life with God. You know what I mean? Like he really loves you and like he really, really wants you to prosper. He wants your soul to prosper. You know what I mean? And then I guess, yeah.
It's beautiful, Papa. Thank you.
I love it.
Thank you.
Have fun. I know, like Ralph and I, like we were like wanting to start this podcast, and it was like what was the root of it? It was like we said it was to have fun and to become each other's biggest fans.
Yeah.
And like, dude, this is our second one, and like, I'm so happy.
Yeah, me too. So my last question for you guys is: do you guys feel like we took the roof off expansion tonight?
I think we did.
I think we took a lot of roofs off.
Yeah.
I
I
think
like it.
Rafa, he's like Mr. Dictionary because you know I it's so funny. I take certain words for granted, and then when he says it, I'm like, oh, and it brings such a perspective. So I think this is extraordinary. What just happened here, and Papa K, thank you so much for
your time.
coming.
You're so welcome,
it's like
man.
what time is it now? Like 11:30.
Oh my gosh.
It's gonna be 11, so
Wow.
it's late. None of you are fathers. I am. I need to get out of here. Nema Cafe, NemaCafe.com. So he's got his beans coming out. So by the
Beans
time
coming
this
out.
airs, you
Yeah.
should be able to go up and get it. So
Yeah.
thanks
beans.
again for coming.
Yeah, you're so welcome.
Choo choo. Any last words?
I love you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Papa K, thank you for your time. Thank you for being, and you're impacting generations. So I just want to encourage you that if Papa K touched your life, feel free to comment, like, subscribe, follow him, just so he knows that he's actually doing what God is telling him to do, impacting generations. Thank you guys for your time. We love you, and thank you again for supporting us. We love you.
Yeah. We'll see you next time. Have a
you
good
guys.
night, day, morning, whatever time you watch this.
Let's go.
I don't know. People watch the podcast. All right. Love you guys.
Love you.
Love you guys.